Design inspiration, real-life makeovers, and the latest in pop culture. This is the Uploft Interior Design Podcast with Betsy Helmuth.
The wonderful thing about podcasting is you can do it anywhere. And nobody has to see you. You can do it in your pajamas. You can record in your bathroom. Unless, of course, you're posting it on YouTube. And then maybe don't record in your onesie. Maybe don't record right next to your sink and your tub. All right, guys, secret's out. If you're watching on YouTube, yes, I'm in my pajamas. Yes, it's 10:30 at night. I just put the baby to bed. The big kids are doing what they do. It is a school night, but I can't get them to settle down before 11:30 at night. And I'm sneaking in a show right now. I'm here to give you design advice, to answer your questions, to tell you about a TV show I just binge watched that I was obsessed with. All this and more on today's episode. Do you know what occurred to me the other day? I was listening to the Mel Robbins podcast, which can be hit or miss, right? It's got a lot going on. So you have to be in the right mindset. I have to have a pen and paper handy. I have to be thinking about improving myself, which can be exhausting. Like, really, how much do we have to evolve? Sometimes can we just listen for entertainment, right? I hope that's what I am for you. I hope sometimes you have a pen and paper and sometimes it's just entertainment. Well, anyway, I had my seatbelt on quite literally because I was driving. I was buckled up listening to Mel Robbins with Seth Godin, which is always a good listen, always inspiring. And she did a really good job of introducing herself to new listeners. And I realized I have been on the air this month for 11 years. I assume you guys know me. We go way back, 500 episodes back. But some of you don't actually know me. Some of you might be listening for the very first time. And I want to tell you welcome. And I also want to say I'm Betsy. I own Uploft Interior Design. I'm a designer. And I have been designing for over 2 decades. My focus is making interior design accessible. And that's why we're here. That's why you send in your questions week after week. And listener, if you have interior design questions, if you're working on a big project and you wish you could bend my ear, get my advice, well, first of all, you can hire me. That's true. So if you have a really big project, I work virtually. I work in person on the East Coast. Heck, you can fly me to Los Angeles to design your apartment like I'm doing in a few months for one of my clients. But anyway, I digress. You can always hire me. But you could also get designed for free. All you have to do is head over to uploft.com/podcast. Once again, that's uploft.com/podcast. There's a form, you fill it out, you submit your question to me with your pictures, and I create a bespoke solution. You get interior design advice that's personalized to your situation for free. Who wouldn't want that? So head on over, fill out that form today. You'll see lots of other fun things on that webpage. You can buy my online classes. You can get an autographed copy of my book, so much and more. But first and foremost, send me questions because that's what keeps this show going week after week. And I love them. I can't get enough. Without further ado, we're reaching in the mailbag today, and then the second half of our episode is going to focus on a Netflix show that I was obsessed with. I was bored, right? And I was kind of like tootling around, trying to find my next watch, and boy, did I. Till Murder Do Us Part on Netflix. We will get into it. But before we do, let's talk to Alyssa. Alyssa's writing in from Searcy, Arkansas, and she says, "Hi, Betsy. I have one corner in my living room that is driving me crazy because it's just, well, it's empty and not in a good way. I've tried putting a plant there, but it still looks like something is missing, like it's not intentional. I don't really need storage there, and I don't just want to fill it with junk. I think I'm overthinking it, but I also don't want to keep buying random things that don't work. Do corners actually need something, or can they just be empty, and am I overreacting?" Okay, well, let's first discuss the picture. So for those of us who can't see my onesie on YouTube, for those of us who are driving or doing dishes or as I do, listening to podcasts in the shower. Yes, get a wider proof speaker, and these shows can follow you wherever you go. Anyway, let me describe it for those of you who are not following along on video. All right, so this is a very contemporary, it looks like new build, lots of clean lines, lots of beautiful floor to ceiling windows. It's an amazing space. It looks like it's either a U-shaped home or could even be like an O-shaped home because the middle is open to like a patio, but it definitely does not feel like an apartment. Well, could be. It's hard to discern from these images, but Searcy, Arkansas, I'm thinking home. Thinking not a lot of high rises, but I don't know Arkansas all that well. Okay, so then we have a big gray sectional in the middle that's facing a wall that has like a walnut shiplap treatment. To the left of that, we have a beautiful fireplace that's inset in a stone surround and basically fills the entire wall. And that opens up to the kitchen, which has beautiful cabinetry, an island with stools, some pendants. This is just really bright, light, indoor-outdoor living at its best, and so super contemporary. There's not a TV to be had in sight. And the corner that Alyssa is describing to us is opposite the sectional. So right now she's got a couple of pillows. Basically, it's like a raised ledge, which in most apartments or homes, I would assume that this built-in was for a TV. So the TV would be mounted above it, and maybe you'd accessorize this ledge, and then underneath the ledge there appears to be storage where people would typically put their implements, their game systems, their routers, etc. But I'm not seeing a TV here, which makes me think that this was built in for somebody else. Alyssa has bought this and has decided not to use it in that way, and instead has a really cool painting on the ledge, which I love. But then these random pillows off to the side in the corner, which feel very odd because this doesn't feel like a window seat. It has the shiplap to the back. It doesn't feel like any kind of banquette seating. So the pillows are very deceptive. Like nobody should really sit there. And I wouldn't accessorize something with pillows unless I wanted someone to sit there. I definitely think that this corner needs something. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk by that because not every corner does need something. I love leaving certain pockets of space in a room open, unadorned, because that's where your good chi lives. According to feng shui, we do need some areas where just good energy can circulate. And so by filling every area, by being a total maximalist, you're eliminating the possibilities for that good energy to swirl, but also for your eye to just rest, for you to take a break as you take in this beautiful surrounding. This is a focal point when I'm seated on the sectional. This cannot be empty. I actually like the idea of doing plants here. I just think like a plant sitting on the ledge is a missed opportunity. We have some beautiful height in here. These look to be 8-foot ceilings, 9-foot ceilings. And so I would do something like maybe kind of a tower of plants that cascades. You have a good 5 to 6 feet before you reach that leaning painting. And that's a lot of space to fill. So not only do we need something tall in my estimation, we also need something wide, which is why I like that kind of plant tower or tiered treatment, because it could really fill the space both vertically and horizontally. The problem with that is it seems to me like that might need to be something very specific that you find on a site like Etsy or that you even have custom made. Now, the other thing that I always ask myself when I'm looking at a space is what material does it need in order to design something and have it be a professional look. You want to make sure you're incorporating lots of different materials. So that could be stone, glass, ceramic, wood, upholstery, those textiles, right? But you want to just look around the room and say, am I omitting a texture? And one of the textures that I feel is missing is glass. Now, certainly we have plenty of glass with these beautiful windows, but I mean actually incorporating it into the decor because we've certainly got wood taken care of with that shiplap. Right next to these pillows, you have that beautiful stone fire surround. You've got plenty of textiles on the other side of the room with the sectional, the pillows, the rug. You've got the marble coffee table. There's just a lot represented there, but in the entire space, as I look throughout this open concept room, I see no glass. So I would really be pushing for something like that. Even ceramic would be a nice texture to include, but basically something high and wide. Now, the other opportunity, which I think could be really fun, is you've leaned this large canvas painting against the shiplap. And I'm going to estimate that this painting is like 3 feet by 4 feet vertical. I love it when people lean like a whole ledge of artwork. So maybe we do some big, some small, and kind of make this more of an extended art moment rather than just one splashy piece. I definitely think layering a few pieces would be nice. And when I'm layering things, whether it's artwork for an art ledge, whether it's books on a coffee table, I always think about doing it in odd numbers. Odd numbers are more frequently found in nature, so they feel more organic to us and less contrived. So, for instance, I bring up the books on the coffee table because there appear to be only 2. It'd be so much more dynamic and interesting if you had layered 3. With this artwork, maybe I do 3 pieces or 5 or even 7. This is a very big ledge. So you have a lot of work to do to fill this gap, but you really must fill it because as I mentioned before, when I'm seated on that sectional, this is the focal point. Let me see what else I would have to say about this space. One thing that's missing for me is a cohesive color palette. I can't see everything. Excuse me, guys. I can't see everything. But what I can see, the beautiful painting and the pillows on the sectional, don't really tie in together well. The pillows in the sectional are like a yellow ochre and an emerald green. I don't see either of those colors in the painting. I would want you to choose something to be your inspiration piece from which you will derive all the colors in the room. And I think this big, beautiful canvas is an ideal, but you just need to be really literal when bringing those colors over in terms of pillows on the sectional, or even a throw blanket, or even tchotchkes, say, on the island in the kitchen. Maybe a beautiful centerpiece bowl or a tray, like a catch-all. Anyway, guys, what you're learning from Alyssa's question, is that when you send me pictures, when you ask me questions, you always get more than you bargained for. Certainly, I'm going to answer the question you ask, but I'll probably give some other thoughts too. And hopefully that's okay with you. Just know what you're getting in for when you send me these pictures because I always have a lot of ideas and don't ever feel like you're beholden to them. Do your own thing, make your own choices, but I also love to hear what people have ultimately done. So feel free to send me pictures. Show me what you've been working on if you've taken my advice or even if you haven't, because I always love the updates. All right, Alyssa, I hope that helped. Now let's segue. Let's segue to this amazing Netflix show. Hopefully you like true crime because I definitely do. The other day I was just scrolling, looking for something new, and I found this documentary from 2023, Till Murder Do Us Part, Soering versus Haysom. You can find it on Netflix. And initially it was kind of slow going. So this was a boyfriend and girlfriend, and he was studying abroad, and he was kind of an outsider. So he was studying at University of Virginia, and everybody thought he was a little odd. He was from Germany, and he started dating one of the girls there. And they were both in like the gifted and talented programs, the accelerated programs. And they really became attached very quickly. Now, she was a bit of an oddball too, but they were both quite studious and they developed quickly a toxic relationship. They became very codependent. And she had had more relationship experience. She was older. Her name was Elizabeth, and his name is Jens. She was older than Jens by, not very much, but enough for it to be significant in terms of their experience in relationships. So people have surmised that she was controlling him. She was very mad at her parents for a number of reasons. She had older siblings. They were both half siblings, I think. And she just felt treated very differently than her older siblings. She felt often forgotten by her parents. She was sent away to boarding school. They definitely had money, but she harbored resentments, let's say, and made it very clear to Jens that not only did she have past hurts, but also her parents were not very supportive of her relationship with him. So they basically got upset with each other because they were being pulled apart by these parents. And then they decided to unite and kind of channel their ire in one direction towards her parents. And they told everyone on campus, they made a big scene about spending the weekend in DC. So they go to DC, they buy some movie tickets, they basically create an alibi. And each one of them says the other one is actually the one that went back to the small town in Virginia and murdered the parents. Because, yes, the parents get brutally murdered, either by Elizabeth or Jens, supposedly. Now, the thing that I find really hard to believe is that these two kids are college kids, and neither one of them are very big in stature. And these parents have been stabbed and killed in a very brutal way. Oh, by the way, the second part is not for kids. So hopefully, the true crime detail made you realize that, wait, this is a different topic. But yes, so each one of them is pointing the finger at the other, saying, I didn't go back, he did. I didn't go back, she did. She says, Elizabeth is saying, I was the mastermind. I told him to do it, but he went back. Jens is saying she was the mastermind and she did it. But I find it very hard to believe that one of them could have done it alone because it was such a gruesome scene. And both parents were awake, so one could potentially defend the other. I just think it would be a hard crime to commit solo. And at the crime scene, though it was very gory and there was lots going on, neither one of their DNA profiles showed up. Now, the blood type did show up for Jens, but 25% of the population has type O blood. And back then, when this occurred, which was in 1985, they did not have advanced DNA. So these days, it probably could have been solved more quickly, but back then, and with the evidence they retained, they couldn't. Anyway, it goes back and forth, and it turns out, of course, the only two people who know what really happened are Elizabeth and Jens, and they both are very smart. Jens spends 30 years in prison working on his release strategy. He tries multiple different avenues and is quite successful with several of them, but things fall through, which I won't spoil for you if you're headed over to watch this documentary. But then Elizabeth totally does mea culpa. Even though I was not the person who murdered them, I was the mastermind. I deserve to do my time. She does her full time. But again, now here we are 30 plus years later, and each one of them continues to pass the buck without anyone sharing what really happened. While you know these bare bones, there are lots of nuances. And of course, what ultimately happens to Yen and Elizabeth after these 30 years is fascinating as well. So if any of this is intriguing you, if any of this is making you wonder, could one person do something like this alone? Well, you don't want to miss this documentary. I left with so many questions and a few of my own what's that word? See, this is the problem when you record at 10:30 at night after you've worked a full day and taken care of 3 kids and made dinner and. But anyway, I have my own assertions as to what has happened, but you'll just have to listen to find out if these people really did pay for the crime that they were both involved in some way. But I just couldn't stop watching this documentary. I remember my husband wanted to watch something and I was like, no, I just have to finish this third part, please. So I'm sure you will feel the same way I did. Head over there right now to check it out. And if you have something you'd like me to check out and talk about on my show, all you have to do is go to uploft.com/podcast. Once again, that's uploft.com/podcast. Once you're there, you can fill out that form and say, Betsy, you got to watch this show too. Now, one last place I want to direct you to is our Instagram page. So you've checked out our Uploft Interior Design page on TikTok. You've seen us on LinkedIn and of course, Facebook. But have you checked us out on Instagram? We love spending time on Instagram. I would say as a social media kind of outlet, that's where we spend the most time. If you're looking for more content, more video clips, and if you want to see pictures of me with my family as well, it's all jumbled up in there. Head over to Uploft Interior Design, the page on Instagram. Until next week, everybody. Bye. A big thanks to our producer, Jeremy Young, and to Aton and the Embassy for our theme music. And shout out to our parent company, Uploft Interior Design, your trusted source for expert interior design. Visit uploft.com to explore our services and book a consultation with one of our talented designers. If you're enjoying the Uploft Interior Design Podcast, please support us by sharing the show with friends and leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It's the best way to help new listeners find us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with more pro tips and pop culture dish.